This is a massive fraud today in the infrastructure bill. We needed an infrastructure bill in America. Joe Biden will have a deal to pass infrastructure through Congress. Democrats are not going to even reconcile. They're not going to settle for the Republican obstructionism. They will pass the bill. There are too many tax provisions that help the billionaires. Joe Biden has been involved with credit card companies for quite some time throughout his political career, throughout the 47 years that he was in politics before he became president. 33 years after his first run for president, I should say, for Joe Biden, that he became president from Delaware. Joe Biden voted for Iraq. He helped favor the credit card companies. Joe Biden favored many of the corporatism elements of the government that was bad. Draconian drug laws. I mean, I feel that Joe Biden, if he were to be a fascist, passing a gun law because there's a lot of crime out there, or is it the mass incarcerating out there of people of color that did Joe Biden? That Joe Biden was against a racial jungle in America. Was it a common aspect that people growing up in 1950s, 1960s government believed? Because this was before America was more diverse in its population, like 70% were white, 80%. And today it's around like 63% or so, 62%, if I'm not mistaken. That number is even going to go down. But the clear premise is this, is that Joe Biden is a complete shill. He's a fraud. This is why I voted the Green Party. I did not vote for Joe Biden because that was how confident that I was that Trump was going to lose. And he did lose really big by 8-9 popular votes. He lost almost all the key swing states I needed to win, with the exception of Florida, where his base is from, where Texas is still Texas. I mean, really, we have infrastructure to pay, and you do not want to adapt the Elizabeth Warren wealth tax. This is what progressives want. This is what the Green Party wants. Obscene amounts of wealth that goes untaxed, that gets inherited throughout centuries. As the Libertarian Party says, you're only entitled to the fruits of your labor. And this goes for the people that inherit massive amounts of wealth. So we will go ahead and we will subscribe to that libertarian ideal in regards to what you've worked for in this life. That's how we address a situation. What works for democracy, for we the people, for healthcare, for the infrastructure, for all those things. So that works through enhanced infrastructure competing with the rest of the world in a global economy. This is what we need government to do. This is what helped China. This is what helped Scandinavia have a very Northern Europe. Western Europe have a very prosperous way of life. And no wonder why those people are not moving to America. These people over in those countries have a far higher standard of living than in America. That's why, this is really why the immigration bill of the 1965 failed. Was that the people who wrote the bill They did not want any discriminatory barriers to immigration. So they let them inside America. America thought that there'd be more white people coming to America, but they were wrong. They were wrong because these people were not going to leave to a system that does not guarantee health care for all. They were not going to move and subscribe to a system that does not guarantee education for all. A bare minimum standard of living, a social democracy for the people that put into the community, do their work, and do their taxes, and through their community is how we establish a great society. There's no sense of community in America. There is no sense for one man last resort. This is libertarianism. That's where we get Joe Biden, the infrastructure bill. Joe Biden says that the billionaires, the corporations can pay a lower tax rate than they did, in 2016 before Trump went to office. Now, we know that Trump is a fraud of the billionaires. How do we know this? Trump didn't raise corporate tax rate to pay for infrastructure and good works that benefit we, the people of America. Donald Trump didn't do that. He lowered the billionaire tax rate of the corporations from 35 to 21%. What I'm saying is Joe Biden raised it from 21 to 28%. Joe Biden may have raised Donald Trump's corporate tax rate up to 28%. But you know what? That is still 7% lower than it was in 2016 when Donald Trump went into office. It was 35% at the time of Donald Trump's campaign. Since Donald Trump's campaign, since all that, capital tax rate, the corporate tax rate is still 28%. It's still lower than it was at that time. So the corporate tax rate is still gone lower even during a Democratic presidency. Why don't we reward good work? Why don't we do that? Why don't we go here and say, you're going to inherit a lot of money, you're going to sit on your ass and you're going to invest it? That's not real work. You don't work harder than someone actually in the front lines of America. The teachers, the firefighters, the police officers, the nurses, everybody who serves in the community. But you want to award billionaires sitting on their asses, inheriting accumulated interest and accumulated capital gains and mutual funds as things. I mean, the billionaires are able to profit off of inheriting and not work. So this is what I mean when it's about the fruits of your labor. It's about what you put in the work for. That is a real society of justice. We don't do this right in America. This is what we, the intellectual thinking people of America, know when we need the billionaires. When the corporations have paid far less of the burden of the federal taxation, that it's gone more to individuals, you know something is wrong. You know something is wrong. And this is continuing to this day. You don't tax the hedge funds and the billionaire investors. The corporate tax rate is still lower than it was when Trump took office. And mind you, just because it was lower under Trump doesn't mean that it's gone down under Biden 35% when Trump took office to 28%. No. Donald Trump cut the corporate tax rate to 21%. It's a 14% decrease. Donald Trump cut the top tax rate for the corporations and the billionaires. Joe Biden's not even raising it. Before, when Trump campaigned, that's the thing. The billionaires are still coming out like bandits. They just lose a little bit under Democrats. You know what I mean? That's what's happening in America. These Democrats express empathy for the people. Republicans don't express any at all for the people. They want to prevent your right to vote. There's the Democratic Party, but there is the corruption in the Democratic Party. May not be enough infrastructure spending. It's not over $4 trillion that we need to revamp America's infrastructure. What if it's not going to go far enough? What if Joe Biden doesn't want to pay for that? What if Joe Biden just wants to continue the billionaire government? And this, my folks, is exactly why I voted Green Party in the last election. I voted Green Party in the last election. I was so confident that Trump was going to lose, and he did lose. But I was not going to vote for Biden because I believed in the citizenry of this democratic constitutional republic. I believe that America was not going to vote for Trump. Thank goodness we did not. We didn't lose the moral fabric of our fucking country. It may happen at some point. It's still getting worse by the minute. Donald Trump made that worse. When he, the monster he is, did not display empathy for people with pre-existing conditions and our elderly people with all their wisdom. That he did not put their health over the profits of the billionaires. That's what Trump did. He discouraged social distancing. He said no masks. Donald Trump refused to produce masks to send out to every citizen of this country. He refused to do that. He's a failure. But that was what he intended to do. He intended to do all that. It's what a failure, man. A failure. Losing the moral fabric. Thank goodness Trump did not lose what I'm talking about. My sister died from this. She went to a Trump fucking rally. Yeah, my sister, she's gone because of this. I don't feel sadness. I don't hold any hate in my heart at all. I hate to be right. Nobody wants to be wearing masks right now. You think we want to wear masks? Oh, no. Don't want to wear fucking masks. But that's what we need to do to get out of this epidemic. This is going to get prolonged. This is going to give the politicians more power when you reject science. When you make things even worse, to give despotic leaders more power, you're just guaranteed to sacrifice something else if the pandemic does get worse. You're more likely to get into lockdown again when people are not being allowed to wear masks at all or any of that. You can imagine this has happened everywhere else in America. If you had vaccine shipments delayed or whatnot, 50 million doses or whatnot, because there is a glitch in the vaccine. I mean, that's what is happening with the vaccine. And now, no shortages. Enough people should be able to take it. We needed to go take it. This is what we have to do. I'm really nervous with all this, honestly. I should feel good that America is doing some progress, that Americans feel good about it in 4 years, but then they feel bad about it in 8 years. And I really hope that the far-right fascist collapses. And never underestimate human ignorance. Never underestimate it at all. And so, if we ignore reality, if we ignore basic facts, if we succumb to a culture of ignorance and outright idiocracy, don't think for a second that it can't happen to America. Idiocracy can certainly happen to America. America was shocked that Trump got elected. There are many white people that are shocked that Trump got elected. Many people were shocked that Trump got elected. We have been systematically deprogrammed this country. Older generation certainly has. I think the new generation can be suckered into the massive pop culture, Hollywood, sports teams, all that. can have a good intellectual debate about science, about politics, about history, and all that. You can't. Not when you've had massive pop culture happen. Kind of like this video because it shows how the billionaires want everything. It just shows how we have to be talking about this today. How the billionaires, how we got to this point today is very important. Joe Biden is working for the top 1%. These corporations out there are still getting a better deal than what they did 5 years ago in 2016, before the Trump tax bill, before the Donald Trump tax bill. Got to store it to where it fucking was before the Donald Trump tax bill. My God. Fucking swear, man. I will not apologize for people calling me a shill. I express my discontent with the corporate establishment of the Democratic Party, but I will realize and know what is better than under Republicans. That is my promise to the show. And these guys are carrying the billionaires in their tax bill. We are not raising enough money to fucking pay for this. This is where the Libertarian Party comes to the equation. Oh, the infrastructure bill didn't work. No government. The government was bad. The government, you don't get rid of what's corrupting the government, which is the billionaires. The libertarians want unlimited campaign spending. That's what the libertarians want. The libertarians want the billionaires. Republican Party, they're good with the billionaires in the Libertarian Party. Koch brothers fund the Libertarian Party. Foundation for Economic Education fund the Libertarian Party with a bunch of Fortune 500 companies that funded Foundation for Economic Education. They created the Libertarian Party. Yeah, they did. Foundation for Economic Freedom, Foundation for Economic Education, it's funded by libertarian billionaires, funded by Fortune 500 billionaires sitting in the Chamber of Congress, the Chamber of Commerce, I should say. That's why we have to do away from it. I believe, not enough people are going to get informed about this kind of stuff because this is a bread and circus zombie nation. I mean, it's going to be Rookie of the Year, who's going to be all that. Who's going to win this division? Who knows the team? Who knows the players in Major League Baseball? I mean, man, this soccer player, that soccer player, I know the stars, and I am semi-aware of soccer and basketball, but I will cling to these kinds of subjects. And don't think for a second that you're catering Joe Biden, man. Well, you know what? How am I catering to Joe Biden in this video? Well, it's actually wrong about Joe Biden giving the massive share of the tax benefits to the working people. A good thing about a bipartisan bill, I talk about that. I'm fair. I'm fair to Trump. I'm fair to Biden. And you know what? You give billionaires everything you want, like under the Republican Party. Don't think I'm going to talk about any good stuff that you did for a second. The only thing that Trump did was start a space agency. That's the only good thing that he has done with overpopulation. This may have been an idea from somebody else anyways. That's how much of a scam it was. So don't think for a second, man, Space Force, Donald Trump. Ignore science, tax cut, cut Obamacare, everything people hated. What a loser. He's a loser. I'm still getting better deal on the Biden than I am on the Trump. But Biden's still carrying the billionaires. This is how we roll over here. Talk about the top 1%. Talk about the top 1% infiltrating both parties. But don't think for a second that we're going to ignore outright reality. But we are going to talk about all these bad shit. I mean, you think about Trump and Clinton together. I mean, QAnon is just nonsense. Most of the pedophiles are in the Republican Party. Bill Clinton is a pedophile involved with this. I think Obama is. I know George H.W. Bush is. Obama is not part of that at all. Obama, he checked out a Brazilian girl's ass. I remember that. But as far as I can tell, Obama's a family man. He's more of a family man than any Republican out there. Well, George Bush, probably his family value, whatnot. But George H.W. was a pedophile, I know, according to Trance, that book about this girl that was going through mind control and part of the CIA, sex trafficking, and all that. And that's all that's been happening under the satanic greed government that we've had under Reagan. And who knows, it's gone back even further. I mean, they certainly planned this country pretty well, as far as I can tell, throughout the history of the nation. So, yes, this is a general point of the video.